But look, we have to get into it because all of you have heard the news already. We're going to share what Ron Rivera said. Today, I relieved Jack Del Rio and Brent Vieselmeyer of their duties. I appreciate all that they have contributed to the organization over the past 4 seasons and wish them all the best moving forward. Head coach Ron Rivera. So, Will, we've been asking for it. Fans have been clamoring for it. We've wanted to see it. But not everybody got fired that we kind of thought was going to get fired. I mean, let's stick here. Jack Del Rio, but also the DB's coach, Brent Vieselmeyer. What do you think about these moves?
I mean, something had to happen. Yeah, you can't. Our passing game has been torched all year long, and I'm so sick of seeing after another passing touchdown, safeties and corners looking and pointing at each other, trying to figure out whose fault was it. And like Jack's had 4 years of this. And after 4 years, either you can't change your scheme or you can't get players who can fit within it. And you can't blame it on the player, but the getting players, because we keep giving you more players on defense. We draft Chase Young. We draft Jamin Davis. We draft Phil Mathis. We draft Emmanuel Forbes, Quan Martin, 5 players with our first and second round picks in your 4 years, and your defense continues to be this garbage. Like, you had to go. And your guy Vieselmeyer, who's never coached in the pros except he's been an assistant position coach for you, your unit is getting torched year in and year out. Where last year our defense wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible like this. And they fixed the communications, yet this year was awful. So, I mean, yes, it needed to happen. There needed to be some type of accountability in that building.
Yeah. And I know, and I completely agree. We've talked about it. I mean, you showed me the stat on Twitter where they were talking about how in the first 4 games of the last 4 years, Jack Del Rio's defenses have averaged giving up almost 30 points a game. Mm-hmm. And then you go to, the last, games 4 to 17 or whatever like that. It was 19 points a game or something like that. But still, double-digit points that he's given. We sat there and fell in love. I fell in love with the phrase bend but don't break. But I got to shout out Nathan, because Nathan said we can't rely on that. We can't continue to be like, oh, yeah, we have a great stingy bend but don't break defense when we're giving them the opportunity to drive all the way down the field like it's nothing. And that it's becoming a problem. Our defense isn't helping our offense. As far as this move, I think when we traded away Montez, we traded away Chase Young, I think that was when the writing was on the wall. It was just a matter of time for Jack Del Rio. And it's just you want to see somebody step up to the challenge. Now, I get when you take some pieces away, okay, maybe they weren't good. But to your point, he's had years to mold this into the defense that he's wanted. He's had years to get the pieces. They were really excited about Forbes and Quan Martin. And all I saw was Quan getting torched. And I don't know. Did you see Forbes?
He was
Somebody
hurt.
asked me about it. Oh, he was hurt. Okay.
Yeah. He didn't dress.
Yeah, his feelings were hurt because, I mean, I honestly, for me, I just felt like we should be seeing more from Jack Del Rio.
Absolutely.
I remember we said we saw him and he got jacked. He got amped up on the sidelines and everything. And I was like, oh, wow. Once? He did that once? We've been bad all year long on defense, and he did that once?
Yep. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's frustrating to see.
No, I mean, I've said this a couple weeks ago. I've been really disappointed in Jack Del Rio's overall performance. He's won a Super Bowl as a defense coordinator. He's been elevated to head coach at other teams because of what he did as a defense coordinator. And here in Washington, it just did not work out. He never got that unit to be a dominating unit like we were anticipating. 2020, they had the luxury of playing terrible non-NFL starting caliber quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And we rode that to a division title with a losing record. And last year, they got rid of William Jackson. They kind of shored up some of the communication issues, and we played a whole lot better. But this year they went in and they said, hey, we got to generate turnovers. And so we're going to get 2 new defensive backs to help bring us, some turnovers. and we've had a complete lack. Like, you had something that wasn't terrible last year. It wasn't that good, but it wasn't terrible. And you tweaked it, and you started going man, and you drafted a zone corner, and you've been so much worse. So it's like there has to be accountability. Now, this is only the start. I mean, I think, a lot of fans want to see everybody gone. They will be. When our last game of the season, the very next day, Black Monday, Ron Rivera will be gone if he's not already gone by then. Everybody, all the coaches know, put your house up for sale, get ready to start cleaning out your lockers. We need to make this as quick as possible as soon as the season's over. But right now, firing more than just Jack and this DB coach, whoever he is, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. But you don't need to just fire everyone so that you feel better. Because one of the things the ownership group has been leaking to the reporters is they told Ron they'd give him a year, and they truly believe that opposing coaches, that head coach candidates, and even guys who are considering being the general manager and front office folks are looking to see what type of owner are you? Yes. Are you one when things start getting bad that you just cut bait immediately? Do you let me work ourselves out of this? And so they're trying as best they can to not have to fire Ron Rivera. Yeah. So they first start off with the guy who's in charge of the defense, and I think the goal is to let Ron play these next 5 games out and then fire him the very first day that the season ends.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And look, so as far as this, I'm glad they made these moves. To your point, I don't see this making much of a difference because, like you said, towards the end of the game, I do believe in their minds, it's like we got to make sure that we stay healthy, get ready for next season. Mm-hmm. Whether it's here, whether it's somewhere else, we got to make sure we're going to be okay, because I think the writing is on the wall. And then you look at the DB's coach, and you talk about his lack of experience and all that, and then you're like, you're bringing in, you have second, third year players and rookies as your secondary. Why would you have this guy with the lack of experience trying to coach up these guys? Like this, it's like the blind leading the blind right now. It just doesn't really make sense. And you start to understand, oh my goodness, this whole defense as a whole was the issue. The whole scheme, the whole foundation, the everything. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we were living on kind of borrowed time last year with everything. And I've seen people, I know you've seen it. People are like, oh, do y'all miss Chase and Montez? Do y'all miss them? Knowing where we're going with the team, knowing how things are kind of being moved on. No, we did the necessary moves. And if anything, that shows me that Josh Harris and this ownership group are not afraid to make the tough decisions. Like one of the things Josh Harris said in his message that he put out. But we want success. We want to win. And if that means we got to start moving pieces and putting new pieces in, so be it. And it's hard. It stinks. I know Chase was a fan favorite. A lot of people liked him, but at the end of the day, I want to win, and I want to win long term, not just we're going to win right now. So
right. You know who I think we miss more than Chase and Montez? Chris Harris, the defensive backs coach, who left Washington and went to Tennessee this year, and hence Vieselmeyer got promoted. One thing I will say, put this out there in the universe that we may not be aware of. I don't know if we had much of a chance to hire somebody else to replace Chris Harris. Yeah. Dan Snyder was selling the team. The last thing he wants to do is fork out more money on somebody's contract. Whereas, because if you remember when training camp started, after the new owners took over, Vieselmeyer got promoted to DB's coach. Travell Wharton got promoted to offensive line coach. Juan Castillo took over as the run game coordinator. All these promotions happened that we've had these openings for months that weren't being announced. So I don't know if Ron was sort of handcuffed to say, you can go get EB, you can go get a quarterback's coach, that's fine, but that's it. If Dan was like, I'm not paying people if I don't have to. But regardless, then it's on Jack Del Rio. This is your defense to say, I've got someone who is teaching these guys and it's not working early on in the season in the game against Chicago to say, I need to pull this back because he's not getting it done. So it's on me. And he didn't do it. And so it was necessary for him to get to get fired. And all I can ask him right now is, was yesterday's game, Jack, was that just a dust up? Is that all you had out there on defense?
Wow. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move on.
Dun, 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 dun.
Let's go. The Washington Commanders. There it is.